Have you ever had the feeling that the world is different, but no one else seems to notice? Like a glitch in the Matrix, but with more emotion and less science fiction. That's that. Maybe you're not traveling, maybe you're waking up. The truth that no one has told you is that we are undergoing a quiet, powerful, and deeply spiritual transformation. And no, it's not cheap esoteric talk, it's science of the expanding soul. The fifth dimension is not a place with portals and floating beings, although, who knows? It is a real change in the way you perceive time, reality, and even your own body. People like you are experiencing unexplained physical symptoms, having accurate intuitions, and experiencing almost cinematic synchronicities. Coincidence? Or is it the universe showing you that your vibrational frequency has changed and you no longer live in the ordinary world? This video is an invitation. Not to believe everything blindly, but to observe what is already happening inside you. If you've been feeling an internal change that you can't explain, welcome. Maybe you're more awake than you think. Something different is happening, and it's not just you. More and more people report a strange feeling of waking up to something greater, a perception beyond the senses. It is as if a veil is being removed, revealing an alternate reality that has always been there, but which now shows itself more clearly. This subtle but profound transition is what many call entry into the fifth dimension. And no, we're not talking about science fiction, we're talking about a real, tangible, transformative expansion of consciousness. Imagine being in a dark room your whole life, and suddenly someone turns on the light. At first, your eyes hurt, you want to close your eyelids, but gradually you start to see everything clearly. The same happens when you start noticing synchronicities, events that seem like coincidences but carry clear messages from life. You think of someone, and that person calls you. Or you feel something strange, and hours later you understand why. These are signals from the universe, responding to your new vibration. This high vibration does not come out of nowhere. It is fueled by moments of silence, by meditation and intuition, by that connection with nature that you have always underestimated. That desire to spend more time near the trees, to listen to the wind more attentively, is not random. It's the subtle energies trying to talk to you, to show you that there's more between heaven and earth than our eyes can see. And when perception changes, reality changes with it, as if new possibilities were unlocked. People report symptoms of ascension that go beyond the emotional. Change of perception, vivid dreams, sensitivity to sound and light. It is as if the whole body is adjusting to a new vibrational frequency. And in a way, it is. Spiritual transformation requires a repositioning, like recalibrating a musical instrument. Sometimes you feel out of place, even lonely. But this is all part of the process. And the more you allow yourself to live this spiritual awakening, the more you realize that life as you knew it no longer works the same way. Linear logic begins to lose its meaning, old values no longer touch your soul, and you start looking for answers within, not outside. It is the beginning of a journey without a map, where the compass is your own intuition. And when the weather starts to behave strangely, don't be alarmed. It could be the next step revealing itself. When one begins to vibrate at a higher frequency, time as we knew it begins to behave in a curious way. There are days that just evaporate, as if someone had pressed the fast-forward button. In others, a simple moment seems to stretch as if it lasted for hours. It's like living between lapses in a movie and slow-motion scenes, all in the same day. This is one of the most common signs of the expansion of consciousness. And the most interesting thing is that this nonlinear perception of time is accompanied by a sharper intuition. You think of something, and shortly after, it happens. Or you feel that something is going to happen, and it does. It's not magic, it's consciousness navigating through layers of alternate reality where time doesn't follow the traditional sequence. It is as if the before, the during, and the after began to overlap. Everything reveals itself in cycles, not in straight lines. This change can cause a kind of subtle disorientation, a feeling that the days are denser, full of information and signs from the universe. Those déjà vus, which once seemed random, now emerge as confirmations, clues that you're where you're supposed to be. Start writing down these moments in a diary. Today I felt that I have already experienced this, I had an intuition and it was confirmed. Over time, these records will show you the invisible pattern of your own journey. In practice, living time in a non-linear way also changes the way we deal with decisions. You start to trust sensations more than deadlines. For example, instead of marking everything with an exact time, it starts to act by flow. Now is the right time to act, even if the clock says something else. This is connection with the subtle energy, the one that moves you when the mind still hesitates. It's like feeling the wind changing even before the clouds get dark. And this leads us to another phenomenon that intensifies when its vibration rises: synchronicity. You start to notice that everything seems to fall into place: encounters, messages, signals. And the more you trust this new perception, the more the universe responds. Is it a coincidence, or did you finally tune into his rhythm? How many times have you thought of someone and, out of nowhere, that person appeared? Or dreamed of a situation that materialized days later? This is synchronicity, and no, it is not coincidence. It is the universe flashing at you, responding to your energetic alignment. As your vibrational frequency rises, these experiences become more frequent and intense. Synchronicities are like cosmic post-its pasted on everyday events. They reveal that there is an intertwining between your thoughts and what happens outside of you. It's as if the universe says, "Keep going, you're on the right track." When you see repeating numbers, such as 1111, or find unexpected answers after a silent question, this is life showing that you are in tune with your expansion of consciousness. But to pick up on these signals, you need to slow down your mind and fine-tune your listening. And here comes the importance of trusting intuition. Let linear logic rest for a while. When you begin to act guided by the heart, even without understanding rationally, the results align with your highest purpose. Want a simple exercise? Try to mentally ask the universe something before you go to sleep, and observe what happens the next day. Synchronicity is like a silent conversation between you and the greater intelligence that rules everything. It could be a book that falls off the shelf, a song that plays with the exact lyrics you needed to hear, or a stranger saying something that answers your innermost question. These moments are not random, they are fine-tuning of an alternate reality shaped by your inner vibration. And the more you surrender to this flow, the more these spiritual connections begin to multiply. People come into your life with similar stories, ideas come out of nowhere and doors open without you forcing them. And that's exactly where many of your old relationships start to change. Have you noticed? When your vibrational frequency changes, you change with it, and inevitably, this affects those around you. Friends who were once inseparable begin to seem distant. Conversations that once lasted for hours now ring hollow. It is not ill will, nor superiority. It is just that your soul has begun to seek deeper spiritual connections, more aligned with your new moment of consciousness expansion. It's common to feel guilt or awkwardness when these bonds begin to dissolve. But think of it as a dance. Sometimes, partners just aren't in the same groove anymore. And that's okay. When you're vibrating at another frequency, forcing old relationships can be like trying to tune into a radio station that's already gone off the air. This isn't about rejection, it's about resonance. And whoever has to stay with you, will go on, effortlessly. In this process, new people begin to enter your life almost like magic. These are those conversations that seem to last minutes, but go through hours. People you barely know, but you feel as if you have met again after many lives. These connections are guided by synchronicity, by signals from the universe, by vibrational affinity. It's a feeling of being at home even though you're in new territory. You will also notice a change in your interests. That desire to go out for the sake of going out can give way to a thirst for silence, for nature, for meditation and intuition. Your new relationships tend to be more true, more present, more human. And even if it means having a smaller circle, it will be much more nutritious. Remember, quality replaces quantity when it comes to soul connection. And in the midst of all this, something begins to become very clear: your intuition is strengthened. It becomes your best friend, your inner compass. It starts to guide you in who to trust, where to invest your energy, what is really worth keeping around. And when you start listening to that voice more attentively, your entire inner world aligns with a new kind of perception. Intuition is not a superpower reserved for a few, it is a natural ability, like walking or breathing. But over time, we were taught to ignore it, suffocated by logic and haste. But when you enter the flow of the fifth dimension, it comes back in full force. It starts as a soft whisper, a feeling in the stomach, a shiver for no reason. It is your expansion of consciousness activating perception beyond the senses. Developing intuition is like strengthening a muscle, it requires practice, constancy, and attention. A good start is silence. Not that discomfort, but the silence that calms down. Meditation and intuition go hand in hand, even 5 minutes a day can make a difference. Another practical tip: create an intuitive journal. Write down the hunches you had, and what happened next. This helps you recognize patterns and validate your inner voice. Connection with nature also enhances this process. Walking barefoot, touching trees, taking your time watching the sky, all of these help you tune into the subtle energy around you. Intuition blossoms when you slow down, when you live in the present. Modern life pushes us to the automatic, but wisdom dwells in the now. It's no wonder that many answers come when you're showering or walking alone. Some practices help to fine-tune this sensitivity. Listen to high-vibration music, use crystals such as labradorite or amethyst, avoid dense environments. Even food influences, natural foods help maintain clarity. And most importantly, trust. Even if it seems irrational at first, intuition always shows the way. And, little by little, you will realize that she never makes mistakes, it is logic that usually gets in the way. As this new perception strengthens, something begins to move within the body. Some people report unexpected physical sensations, changes in mood, sleep, appetite. This is just the body accompanying the mind, and then the so-called physical symptoms of ascension begin. Have you ever felt a weird pressure in your head out of nowhere? A strange tingling in your feet or hands? That sudden fatigue that has no explanation. That's that. These are physical symptoms of the ascension that many people are experiencing, even without knowing why. When the body's vibrational frequency begins to change, the physical reacts. After all, it needs to adapt to the new subtle energy that is circulating. These changes can also mess up sleep, sleepless nights, intense dreams, feeling of having woken up more tired than when you went to bed. Appetite can vary sharply, ranging from voracious hunger to complete disinterest in food. It is not a question of illness, but of spiritual transformation. It is as if the body is reorganizing itself internally to support the expansion of consciousness. And he asks for caution during this process. Some practices help to soften these symptoms: coarse salt baths to cleanse dense energy, a lot of contact with nature, preferably with your feet on the ground, and the use of crystals such as amethyst, selenite or rose quartz. Hydrating well and consuming live foods also makes a big difference. It's like recalibrating an instrument, it needs constant tuning, lightness and patience. The secret? Listen to the body with affection and attention. In the emotional field, the waves are also intense. You may find yourself crying for no reason, feeling nostalgic for what you've never lived, or with a sudden desire to drop everything. It is the soul releasing old weights, making room for the new version of yourself. Sometimes there is that inner chaos that seems like the end, but in fact, it's just the beginning of the change in perception that's taking hold. And as these transformations deepen, the old values begin to lose their luster. The quest for status, appearance, and external achievement starts to feel empty. And that's where the shift in priorities comes into play, in full force. Suddenly, what once seemed essential begins to lose its meaning. The car of the year, the likes on the networks, the important position. All of this starts to seem small compared to the peace you feel in a sunset or in a real conversation. Spiritual transformation messes with your inner compass, but only to show you where the true north is. And the new north is authenticity, it is real connection, it is living with purpose. Many people find themselves changing careers, moving to another city or saying no to invitations that they previously accepted for convenience. It is not selfishness, it is energetic alignment. The expansion of consciousness teaches you that you can no longer continue living on autopilot. A practical tip: create the journal of authenticity. In it, write down everything that nourishes you and everything that drains you. Before long, you'll see what you need to keep, and what needs to go. This realignment may seem radical, but it is natural when one begins to vibrate at higher frequencies. You feel the need to simplify your life, reduce external noise, and give more value to small joys. Walking in the park, listening to your own breathing, smelling coffee in the morning. All of this takes on new meaning. It's not about having less. It's about living longer, with more meaning, more presence, more truth. And with that, the goals change. Instead of wanting to impress the world, you start searching for yourself. Instead of asking, "What am I going to get out of this?" you start asking, "Is this really good for me?" This change in perception makes room for more conscious choices. You get to build a life where you feel whole, not just functional. And then, the spiritual connections become clearer, more natural. That's when you start to realize that nature, previously ignored in the rush, now calls you back. Like an old friend waiting for you with open arms, she becomes your ally in the process of transformation. Nature never stopped talking to us, we forgot to listen. When you begin to experience spiritual awakening, it goes back to being what it has always been, a mirror of your soul. The trees, the animals, the wind, everything seems to gain meaning. A hummingbird that appears repeatedly, a stone that catches your eye, the sound of dancing leaves, these are signs of the universe, subtle and profound. It is the subtle energy of nature wanting to align with yours. Walking barefoot on the earth, putting your hands in the dirt, planting with intention. These are all simple but powerful practices. It's not just about botany, it's about energetic grounding. When you step on the grass with your heart present, your vibrational frequency stabilizes. It is as if the earth said, "Calm down, I will sustain you." Try it, take a walk in silence in a park, or simply sit under a tree. Nature speaks in silence. Contact with the cycles of nature also teaches us a lot about ourselves. The moon, for example, can affect your mood, your sleep, your intuition. Sunrise and sunset regulate your biological and spiritual clock. Even insects sometimes look like messengers. Have you noticed how a butterfly, when it appears at the right time, can bring peace? This change in perception about the environment is part of the expansion of consciousness. If you want to strengthen this connection, create rituals. It could be drinking tea outdoors, having an intentional picnic, talking to plants, yes, talking. Name a tree on your daily path, notice how it changes over time. This creates bonds with the environment and reconnects you with what is essential. Nature is the purest form of spiritual energy at your disposal, and it is within your reach every day. And when you start aligning with those signals, synchronicity increases. Coincidences become commonplace, the signs become clearer, and you begin to trust this invisible flow that guides you. Do you know that coincidence so accurate that it gives you goosebumps? This is not luck, it is synchronicity. It's as if the universe puts little clues in your path, testing your attention. You think of a question before bed, and the next day, a phrase in a song answers exactly what you needed to hear. It is the expansion of consciousness creating bridges between the invisible and the visible. It's trusting that, yes, there's a smarter plan behind it all. The practice of active observation can transform your routine. It works like this: when you leave the house, be present. Look at the numbers, words, other people's conversations, objects lying on the floor. Everything can be an answer. The high vibration puts you in a state where you read the world as a living oracle. For example, you are thinking about changing careers and you hear someone saying, out of nowhere, follow your heart. Don't ignore it. It's life nudging you gently. Many still doubt it because they expect grandiose, almost cinematic synchronicities. But most of the signals from the universe are subtle. A book that comes up 3 times in different conversations, an animal that appears frequently, even delays that put you in the right place at the right time. Trust these adjustments. Write down these moments. Over time, you'll see the pattern and understand that you're being guided by something bigger. As you open up to this new realization, spiritual connections deepen. People appear in sync with their thoughts, situations are resolved fluidly, ideas arrive as downloads. It's a game where intuition is the joystick. And the more you play, the more skilled you get. Logic loses ground, but wisdom grows. Living in sync is living in a state of listening, and that transforms everything. But all of this is only possible when you accept to let go of control, trust the invisible, and allow yourself to live more authentically. Because, deep down, the 5th dimension is not a destiny, it is a state of being. The time has come to understand once and for all, the 5th dimension is not a place where you arrive with a suitcase and passport in hand. It is a vibrational state, an internal change that redefines everything, your worldview, your relationships, your values. It is where spiritual transformation ceases to be a theory and becomes a daily practice. You can't live like you used to, because you're not the same anymore. And that, my friend, is liberating. But that freedom comes with a choice: let go of fear. Fear of looking different, of not being understood, of losing control. But spiritual awakening requires courage. Courage to look in the mirror honestly and say, I'm ready. Ready to live with truth, guided by intuition, in connection with the subtle energy that has always been around you, and that now, finally, you are beginning to feel. If you felt that this content spoke directly to your soul, so manifest it now. Type here in the comments, I'm ready. This simple act is already a sign of commitment to your journey. Let's go together in this high vibration, because the awakening is individual, but the journey can, and should, be shared. This journey has no manual, but it has signs of the universe everywhere. There is synchronicity, there are symptoms of ascension, there is a change in perception. Are you already noticing all this? So, trust me. It is time to abandon the automatic mode, question what you have been taught and move towards your high vibration. It's a choice that requires presence, but it delivers rewards that no normal life can give. Look at your life now. What resistances are you feeding? What still prevents you from living your most authentic version? You don't need to have all the answers today. You just need to get started. A simple meditation, a conscious breath, a decision made with the heart. All of this is already the beginning of your energetic realignment. It is already a firm step towards your expansion of consciousness. Now tell me, after all this, are you still going to pretend that nothing is happening? Will you continue to ignore the signs of the universe, stifle your intuition, and live in automatic mode? Or will you finally take the first step towards your spiritual transformation? The truth is that waking up is not comfortable, but it is liberating. And those who wake up, do not go back to sleep. Reread the signs, observe your days, listen to what your body and soul are screaming. Are you really tired? Or is your energy misaligned? Are you confused? Or just trying to use logic in a world that now works by synchronicity? Think about it. The fifth dimension waits for no one, but welcomes everyone who dares to feel beyond the obvious. If this content made sense to you, comment below what caught your attention the most. Share your experience, your ascension symptoms, your doubts. Let's grow together on this journey. And of course, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell and get ready, because this is just the beginning of your expansion of consciousness.